Just children, not just the elderly, not just parents, but there's also quite a few pets. You can see them there. Folks are taking out their dogs, their cats, other animals, whatever they have. But frankly, some have had no choice but to leave their animals behind. The last time we saw something like this on this scale was 12 years ago when Hurricane Katrina hit the Gulf Coast. Many people refused to evacuate because they couldn't take their pets with them. BuzzFeed estimates that 250,000 pets were abandoned during Katrina, and 150,000 of them died. Congress later passed a law requiring state and local governments to take pets and service animals into account when developing emergency evacuation plans. Joining us now to talk by phone about this is Monica Schmidt, Shelter Operations Manager for the Houston Humane Society. Monica, shelters are now, at least in part, opening their doors to pets. Am I correct?
Yes, we're seeing a lot of shelters that are making allowances for pets. Some are even allowing the pets to come in directly with their owners. Some are having staging areas where the pets are perhaps kept in a separate room. But we are seeing a huge amount of shelters that are allowing animals to come with their owners. We're seeing a lot of the boats that are bringing people out are allowing those pets to get on the boats with them. And I think that, we've seen a huge shift just in terms of mentality, how people think since Katrina. And it's, while we're so overwhelmed right now in Houston, it's very heartwarming and it's very inspiring to see all of these animals coming out with their owners.
And what about
not
those,
being left behind?
Monica, that unfortunately have been left behind? How are you managing to get to them?
It's slow going, a lot of the rescue boats that are being run independently are going in to get some of these animals that have been left behind. And, social media has actually become almost a godsend for these animals. We've seen a huge social media rescue pet network that has popped up where people are able to post if they had to evacuate without their pet, or perhaps they weren't at home and then they couldn't get back home. They're popping up where people are posting, I'm in need, and before an organization can respond, a neighbor has already responded, or a volunteer has responded and said, we're on our way. We've got a boat. So the same thing that we're seeing with humans, we're seeing the same thing happen with animals, where people are pitching in, they're coming together, and that's really made all the difference this time around of being able to save these pets.
And what sort of condition are the pets? I think we're seeing right now a baby deer in a man's hand. It's not just, household pets. And these are wildlife as well.
We're seeing all sorts of animals. Of course, just like typical dogs and cats, wildlife is being displaced. We have partnership with Texas Wildlife and Rehabilitation Coalition. They've been inundated with baby squirrels being knocked out of trees, and you don't really think about that until something like this hits. And especially yesterday, the wind intensified so much that all of a sudden, homeowners, not knowing what to do, they've have been dropping off at TWRC nonstop. So it's more than just dogs and cats. And even within homes, we're dealing with more than just dogs and cats. We've got people evacuating with reptiles, bearded dragons, and chameleons. We've got people with exotic birds, bunnies. I mean, you name it. Anything somebody might have as a pet, we're having to figure out how to make allowances and how to help these folks.
There are images online, and maybe you don't feel very sorry for fire ants, but there are images online of entire globs, I guess you could call it, of fire ants that have been pushed down in the Guadalupe River. The pets that you have been able to rescue, what happens to them now?
Right now, we're working on a couple of different things. At our shelter, we took in all of the mandatory evacuation animals from LaPorte Animal Control because they had to move every single animal from their shelter. We're actually en route right now to set up at the Berry Center in Cypress to help people that are being brought in off of boats so that we can set up temporary shelter for those animals until those people can be evac to an actual shelter setup. So a lot of what we're seeing is kind of middleman opportunities. And, their animals are visibly shaken, just like people. They're stressed. But it makes such a huge difference when they can stay with their owner. I mean, it makes all the difference, not only for the people, but for the pets as well.
Monica Schmidt of the Houston Humane Society. Monica, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.